It's time to start talking about families in discussing developmental psychology. This, in the class that I'm teaching right now, where I'm making the video, where I'm recording, this is introduced in the middle childhood section of the chapter. A lot of this is going to be applicable to a lot of childhood and adolescence, but that's where it comes up, right? So it's not necessarily going to be unique to middle childhood. And so before we start talking about families, we have to talk about some terminology, some definitions. You might have heard of some of these before. So let's talk about family structure. All right, how is the family, what type of family are we dealing with any individual family? So family structure refers to legal and genetic relationships among relatives living in the same home. All right, so what are our general categories for family structure? Your three basic categories are nuclear family, extended family, and step family. There are others. There are so many other situations that a family could end up in, right? You know, just to give you examples, there have been times in my life where I was living with aunts and uncles, but also with other family members that might make me kind of a hybrid of some of these categories. All right, so what do we have? What is a nuclear family? A nuclear family is where you just basically have the parents and their children. All right, like mom and dad, or mom, dad. Some of the purists would say no, mom and dad and their biological children. But some modern researchers will recognize, well, hey, we have to recognize that you don't always have mom and dad. And what if you have adopted children? What if you have foster children? All right, but basically the idea behind nuclear family, parents, children. Extended family is when you have other family members like grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, living in the same family. I have been in extended family situations, at various points in my life. And so that is one type of family structure. So that it's extended beyond the parents and their children. Now, what about step family? This is situations where you have remarriage. Maybe not with a full-on marriage certificate, because sometimes you have folks who live together. They may not get legally married, but they're living together as a married couple. I mean, your purists would say, no, this is remarriage. But your step-parents is somebody, it's a big old horn just honked outside my window. That's why I jumped. So with step-parents, you have a situation where someone who was already in a different family situation, like a different nuclear family, for example, either from divorce or death of a spouse, they get remarried, and you can end up with a blended family situation if they already have children from a previous marriage. All right, so with remarriage situations, recombining, you can end up with step-parent family situations. All right, so families include genetic connections. Sometimes these are your genetic offspring or your genetic parents that you're living with, but they also involve legal connections. So if you have been adopted, if your step parent is a legal guardian to you, if your grandparents are legally responsible for you, you have your legal connections too in adoption and foster care in different situations. So this is just some of the things that come up with discussing family structure. So when we talk about family structure, we're essentially talking about, well, basically who exactly is living with an individual.